In this book, Don Miguel Ruiz unpacks some ancient Toltec wisdom to show us how modern society has, to a large extent, simply accepted a way of being that is unhealthy. People are more than ever dealing with depression and purposelessness, created as a natural byproduct of our capitalist and consumerist culture. But because it's so prevalent and self-fulfilling, and everyone has bought into the same shared belief systems, no one seems to see it as problematic or unusual. Don Miguel uses wisdom gleaned from the ancient civilization, the Toltecs, who were an influential pre-Columbian culture whose philosophical teachings left a lasting legacy on the Aztecs and subsequent civilizations, to provide us with insights and practical ways to break out of this global domestication and to live a healthy modern life. We begin by exploring what Don Miguel means when he says, the domestication of humans. Just like how humans train animals, Don Miguel says we humans are similarly domesticated from a young age. We are taught how to live, how to behave, and what to believe. Like when training animals, this domestication process involves rewards and punishments. We are rewarded when we conform to societal expectations and punished when we do not. Over time, we internalize these rules and punish ourselves when we fail to meet them, creating a cycle of self-judgment and self-rejection. As a quick aside, while Don Miguel doesn't touch on it, it's important to note that there are good reasons why we humans are built the way we are. For a long time, the reward and punishment loops served us well. In hunter-gatherer societies, this form of social learning ensured that individuals adhered to group norms, which was essential for the group's cohesion and survival. And starting early by teaching children about dangerous animals, poisonous plants, and effective hunting or gathering techniques required a system of reinforcement to ensure the information was retained and followed. But while useful in a historical context of human survival, whether the systems that are responsible for survival functions and habit formation, some might refer to these as our reptilian brain, have managed to evolve alongside human society over the last few thousand years is not so clear-cut. Operating on principles suited to a much earlier stage of human development, there is an inherent mismatch between our instinctual responses and the complexities of modern life. The immediate responses to threats and the system of rewards and punishments, once so important to survival, now can lead to constant levels of stress and anxiety. Let's take some hypothetical examples. In early human life, the sight of a predator, a lion or tiger, would trigger a fight-or-flight response. The immediate threat required a quick and decisive reaction. In modern society, an office worker facing a deadline might trigger a similar response as he sees his boss, the predator in this analogy, approaching his desk. While not nearly as life-threatening, our bodies are hardwired to react with the same need for reaction, increased heart rate and adrenaline. But they can't run or evade the deadline, and after this deadline has passed, there will simply be another one, and one after that. Many of us are living in a constant state of heightened emotions and fear, triggered by an outdated biological response. Even outside the office environment, we can find examples where the reptilian brain is responding in ways that are outsized to the environmental trigger. Not conforming to societal norms might once have resulted in exile from the tribe, a near-certain death sentence for survival. But our fear of rejection in modern social settings, dinner parties or networking events, means that a social faux pas or bad joke might trigger the same intense fear of rejection. Again, not nearly as life-threatening, but by no means less impactful on our psychological well-being. Moving away from the fear response, if we consider the reward mechanism, once a significant reward for finding calorie-dense food, is now triggered by receiving likes on social media, reinforcing behavior that seeks social validation, acceptance, and recognition. In short, the lag in evolution of our reptilian brain can lead to behaviors that are maladaptive in the modern world, such as overreacting to social rejection or conforming to outdated societal norms. Going back to Don Miguel and domestication, he describes the collective dream of humanity as a shared belief system comprising all the rules, expectations, and agreements we make as individuals within society. This dream is constructed from the moment we are born, influenced by family, religion, education, and culture. Our domestication into this setting has led to several negative outcomes. First, the concept of the parasite, which represents the part of us that judges, criticizes, and abuses us. This parasite feeds on the negative emotions generated by the domestication process and perpetuates our suffering. Rather than our experiences happening once, teaching us, leading us to learn and survive, our society and human access to memory have meant that we perpetuate this loop of negativity constantly. And second, a conforming to societal norms and expectations that may have completely superseded our personal freedom and authenticity. Don Miguel believes that the goal is to break free from this domestication and the collective dream, thereby reclaiming our personal freedom and authenticity. Ruiz suggests that by becoming aware of this process, we can start to challenge and change the agreements that no longer serve us. The agreements in Don Miguel Ruiz's The Four Agreements refer to the set of beliefs and rules we adopt throughout our lives. These agreements shape our behavior, thoughts, and emotions. Often, these beliefs are imposed by society, family, and culture, leading us to live in ways that may not reflect our true selves. By becoming aware of these unconscious agreements and choosing new, conscious ones, we can transform our lives and achieve greater personal freedom and happiness. The process involves replacing old, limiting agreements with new ones that align with our authentic desires and values, fostering a life of integrity and fulfillment. The first agreement. The first agreement in the Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz is to be impeccable with your word. This agreement emphasizes the power of our words and the importance of using them with integrity and care. Words have immense power to create and destroy. They shape our reality and influence the lives of others. An example he gives is of a mother who, having had a tough day, returns home to an exuberant child who is singing. The mother snaps, "Stop singing, your voice is ugly." Internalizing the message, the child becomes self-conscious and stops singing altogether. The mother's words had incredible power and, unthinkingly, destroyed what could have been a beautiful voice. Being impeccable with your word means using it in the direction of truth and love rather than negativity or harm. Being impeccable means speaking in a manner that does not go against oneself. This involves speaking with integrity, saying only what you mean, and avoiding gossip, falsehoods, and self-criticism. By being impeccable with your word, you build self-respect and self-love, and you positively impact your relationships with others. This practice, done continuously and for long enough, reduces emotional pain and conflict, fostering a more peaceful and authentic life. The second agreement. The second agreement is to not take anything personally. This agreement focuses on the idea that nothing others do is because of you. People's actions and words are a reflection of their own reality, beliefs, and experiences. Their behavior is about them, not about you. When you take things personally, you assume responsibility for others' actions and reactions, which can lead to unnecessary suffering. Ruiz provides an example where someone insults you. If you take it personally, you might feel hurt, angry, or defensive. However, if you understand that the insult reflects the other person's issues, insecurities, or state of mind, you can avoid internalizing the negativity. By not taking it personally, you maintain your emotional balance and self-respect. By not taking things personally, you build a kind of emotional immunity against the opinions and actions of others. This helps you maintain inner peace and avoid feeling hurt, offended, or diminished by external negativity. A consequence or an outcome of becoming immune against the opinions of others is that you cannot rely on others for validation or self-worth. You need to find this internally, developing your own self-worth and giving yourself validation. and understand that you are responsible only for your own actions and reactions, not for how others perceive or react to you. The third agreement. The third agreement is, don't make assumptions. This agreement emphasizes the importance of clear communication and understanding to avoid misunderstandings and unnecessary suffering. Making assumptions often leads to misunderstandings, conflicts, and emotional pain. Assumptions are beliefs we create based on our interpretations rather than facts. To avoid making assumptions, it's crucial to ask questions and communicate clearly with others to ensure mutual understanding. Ruiz provides an example of a couple in a relationship. One partner might assume that the other knows their needs and expectations without expressing them. When those needs aren't met, it leads to disappointment and resentment. By communicating openly about their desires and expectations, they can avoid assumptions and strengthen their relationship. Assumptions can lead us to create stories in our minds that may not be true. These stories can cause unnecessary stress and conflict. By seeking clarification and not assuming we know what others think or feel, we can prevent misunderstandings and build healthier relationships. It takes courage to ask questions and express what we really want or need. This open communication fosters trust and understanding in our relationships. When we don't make assumptions and instead seek clarity, we can avoid disappointments and emotional turmoil. The fourth agreement. The fourth agreement in the Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz is always do your best. This agreement emphasizes the importance of effort and consistency in everything you do, and it is an important aspect when applying the other three agreements. Your best will vary from moment to moment, depending on your circumstances, health, and mood. Sometimes your best may be high quality, and other times it may be lower, but it is essential to always strive to do your best under any circumstance. By doing your best, you avoid self-judgment, self-abuse, and regret. If you no longer are seeking the validation from others, and you know that the work or activity you've done is to the best of your ability, then you have no reason to judge yourself or feel guilty because you know you gave it your all. This approach leads to a sense of satisfaction and fulfillment, regardless of the outcome. It's not about being perfect, but about making the effort to improve and grow. Consistently doing your best helps to internalize the other three agreements. It turns them into habits and a natural part of your life. In summary, use words to speak truth and spread positivity. Avoid using words to harm yourself or others. Build integrity and self-respect through conscious and careful speech. Recognize that others' actions and words reflect their own internal world, not your value or identity. Avoid taking things personally to reduce emotional suffering and maintain inner peace. Focus on your own actions and self-worth, independent of external opinions and behaviors. Avoid making assumptions by asking questions and communicating clearly. Ensure that you and others have a mutual understanding to prevent misunderstandings. Have the courage to express your needs and inquire about others' intentions and feelings. Strive to do your best in every situation, recognizing that your best will vary. Consistent effort helps to make the other three agreements a natural part of your life. By doing your best, you can live without self-judgment, guilt, or regret. How to practically implement these agreements. To practically achieve or implement these agreements, we first need to recognize our existing agreements. These are the agreements and limiting beliefs that have been imposed on us throughout our lives. These old agreements, formed through the domestication process, often cause unnecessary suffering and restrict our personal freedom. The goal is to become aware of these outdated agreements and replace them with new, empowering ones outlined above that align with our true self. Step 1. Start by identifying the old agreements that no longer serve you. Reflect on your beliefs, behaviors, and patterns that cause you pain or limit your potential. Journal about these agreements to gain clarity on how they affect your life and where they originated. Step 2. Question the validity of these old agreements. Ask yourself whether they are truly reflective of your authentic self or if they were imposed by others, family, society, culture. Use critical thinking to dismantle the beliefs that are based on fear, judgment, or misinformation. Step 3. Replace the old agreements with new ones that support your growth and align with your true values. These new agreements should empower you and foster a positive self-image. For example, replace "I am not good enough" with "I am worthy and capable." Step 4. Implement the new agreements in your daily life through consistent practice. This involves being mindful of your thoughts and actions and consciously choosing to act in accordance with your new agreements. Use positive affirmations and self-talk to reinforce the new beliefs. The importance of consistent, continuous engagement in these steps can be difficult. Find ways to support the journey. Some examples could be to surround yourself with supportive people who encourage your growth and respect your new agreements. This might involve setting boundaries with those who reinforce old negative patterns. And watch out for the judge entering this process. Forgive yourself for past mistakes and for holding on to limiting beliefs. Understand that you were doing the best you could with the knowledge and awareness you had at the time. An example. Let's take an example. Step 1. We identify the old agreement or pattern that is no longer serving us. Say, for instance, the old agreement is that you find yourself always pleasing others in order to be loved. In a work setting, you may often say yes to tasks, even when overwhelmed, because you fear that saying no will make your colleagues dislike you. Reflect on this. When did you first start believing that you must please others to be loved? How has this belief affected your relationships and personal well-being? What specific behaviors do you engage in to please others, even at your own expense? Step 2 is to challenge this old way of thinking. Is it true that you must please others to be loved? Can you think of instances where you were loved and accepted without having to please others? Who imposed this belief on you, and why might it have been imposed? List the reasons why the belief is not true. Include evidence from your life where you received love without pleasing others. Maybe you find a truth that your close friends appreciate you for who you are, not for what you do for them. Step 3. Develop a new empowering belief to replace the old agreement. An example could be instead, "I am worthy of love just as I am, and I will prioritize my own well-being." Write and repeat the new agreement daily. Display it somewhere visible as a constant reminder. Step 4. Implement the new agreement in daily life and reinforce it through action. Such activities in our example could be things that reinforce putting your well-being first, such as saying no to requests that overextend you, or setting boundaries with people who expect you to prioritize their needs over your own. And watch out for the judge entering this process. Forgive yourself for past mistakes and for holding on to limiting beliefs. Understand that you were doing the best you could with the knowledge and awareness you had at the time. Let's look at how this example we just went over is tied into the 4 agreements. The first agreement is to be impeccable with your word. The belief, "I must always please others to be loved," often leads to saying things you don't mean or making commitments you can't keep, which is not being impeccable with your word. By adopting the belief, "I am worthy of love just as I am," you align your words with your true self. You speak honestly and with integrity, expressing your true needs and boundaries without fear of losing love. The second agreement, don't take anything personally. By believing that you must please others to be loved, this often leads you to take others' reactions personally, feeling hurt or rejected if they are not pleased. Understanding that others' needs and reactions are not about you helps you not to take things personally. This reinforces the belief that your worth is not dependent on others' approval. The third agreement is to not make assumptions. Assuming that others will only love you if you please them leads to unnecessary stress and misunderstandings. And by asking questions and communicating clearly, you avoid assumptions. You seek to understand and express your needs and boundaries openly. The fourth agreement, always doing your best. By trying to please others constantly, it can lead to burnout and feeling that your best is never enough. By adopting the belief, I am worthy of love just as I am, you focus on doing your best within your limits, knowing that your best varies from day to day. So, conclusion. In the final chapters of the Four Agreements, Don Miguel Ruiz focuses on the idea of achieving personal freedom through mastery. He introduces the concept of the Toltec path to freedom, which includes three masteries: the mastery of awareness, the mastery of transformation, and the mastery of intent. He encourages readers to practice the Four Agreements consistently, emphasizing that mastery requires dedication and effort. Ruiz also touches on the importance of love and forgiveness, urging readers to forgive themselves and others for past mistakes. By practicing the Four Agreements and embracing love and forgiveness, individuals can break free from old patterns and live a life of true freedom and joy. As you embark on this journey of personal transformation, remember that mastery is not about perfection, but about consistent practice and dedication. Each day presents an opportunity to reaffirm your commitment to these agreements, to forgive yourself and others, and to choose love over fear.